In the last year, we have helped rehouse, re-educate and get back into work 850 people. And I think that's an immensely proud achievement for us as a charity. Hello, my name's Trudy Hampton and I'm CEO of Warming Up the Homeless, and I would love to tell you how we started and where we are today. So we started in Hastings. A couple of people decided to go out for a drink one night. They saw a homeless person walk past the pub. It was below zero, it was pouring with rain, and they wondered what happened to homeless people. So the next week they took out some clothing and distributed that clothing. It was very well received, and the next week they took out blankets, and the week after that coffee and sandwiches, and that's really how Warming Up the Homeless was born. And from there on in, you know, the need has grown from there, and we have had to grow from a group of a few people to a registered charity. So with 300 volunteers, we have huge costs. We have 3 vans, and we'd like a 4th van. We'd like to have an electric van. We'd like to go a little bit greener this time, and we'd like some funding for that. We'd like to expand our volunteer training programme, but they're already trained in safeguarding and first aid, but their suicide awareness we'd like to get them trained into, and more into depth into first aid, and there's lots of things we'd like to get them trained into, mental health in particular. Our distribution centre based in Bexhill in East Sussex distributes everything from here to our 22 outreach sessions a week. We cover from Hastings to Brighton in West Sussex. So we have 2 tonnes of food that comes through here a week, and we have 50 volunteers throughout the week that come in on a regular basis and by rota to make sure that the food is sorted out, and everything from here, including the donations that are given, are distributed out back onto our outreach sessions. Right, so this is one of our lovely vans. We've got 3. We've got 2 Bilingos and a Vivaro, slightly larger one. They are used every single day, every single night, 7 days a week. We're flat out. What we use them for? We use them for taking out the food and delivering the food from the food bank. We could take people to court or to a very important appointment and they couldn't get there otherwise. We are picking up donations, we're dropping off donations. And within our distribution centre we have a Home Start scheme where people have been housed from the streets or just rehoused from emergency accommodation to temporary accommodation, and they arrive at this accommodation without anything at all. They don't even have a kettle, sometimes they don't even have carpets or floorboards, and this is where we come in, and this is where we can also help. So it's not just outreach and giving out food, it is also the support once they are housed, and it's not just about Home Start, it's about mental health support and working within multi-agency discipline. That's what we do. So the next service we want to offer is to set up an old ambulance with our logo on to go outside on outreach next door to our outreach. So once we've served people and we've fed them and we've catered for them, then they can go into the ambulance and they can have a discussion with a GP or a mental health nurse, and we'll do that on a rotational basis. So our overall long-term goal is to open up our own hostels. We want to put people in there that we feel are right and aren't getting the support elsewhere. Quite often we find people are literally dumped into accommodation and left, and we don't want that. It doesn't work. It needs a different approach, and this is the approach that we need to make. And we need to make sure that these people are catered for and they're looked after, and that we can have this joined up meeting and a multi-agency approach to make sure that these people get back on their feet and get back into work. That's what we need to do, and we need to do it now. And whilst we have a large community presence. We'd like to expand on that, we'd like to build on that. People know our logo, we've got 3 vans and we're around town, we're around all over East Sussex, and people know us, they give us a little toot and we say hi, you know, we don't know who they are, but it's nice just to say hello, and that's part of what we want. We need to make people aware of homelessness and how devastating it could be for not just those that are homeless, but the families as well, if they've got them. Many of them haven't. But we've got a very distinctive logo, and we need to get that out there so people go, oh yeah, warming up the homeless. So our home cooks, their kitchens have been inspected by their local councils and they've been rated by their local councils, and each home cook has also got a level 2 or 3 in food hygiene. We also have a very robust food policy, and we have 2 food safety leads here to make sure that everything is exact and we are doing what we're meant to be doing. This is what we need. We need some funds to provide good quality commercial fridges and freezers so we can store part of our 2 tonnes of food a week in. So annually, our food bank provides 5,500 food bags, and that's quite a lot. In fact, that's far too many, but we do that, and we deliver them too. Most of the food that we deliver is food that restaurants have provided us with, and we freeze it, and so our homeless people actually have proper, good quality, nutritious food, and that they can have at any time. It is done by a referral service, and that's very strict, but it isn't done by the traditional voucher system. We don't do that, but we do need a referral from a social worker or probation officer. We receive over 112 calls a week from our homeless hotline, and it could be from a member of the public who are concerned about a rough sleeper, and we have to go down and investigate, and then we make sure that that person is safeguarded or they are looked after in some way. We connect up with one of the agencies that we work with, and all of this costs money. Okay, so I've told you about what we do at our distribution centre. You've had a look around, you've seen our cooks unit, you've seen about and heard about our welfare and advocacy. Tonight we're doing the sharp end, which is outreach. So outreach is where we do everything at the distribution centre, and it comes to outreach. This is ready for the guys and girls that don't have any food for whatever reason, and we feed them. We feed them hot food, sandwiches, fresh fruit, pastries, cakes. We also have clothing and toiletries, and we provide hot chocolate and coffee. And also it's a great opportunity for us and the volunteers to have a chat to the people that we help and see how else we can help them. Just generally check up on their welfare, make sure that they're well, they're mentally well, they're physically well. If they're looking for housing, or we can help them with that. We especially want to get them back into the workplace, but everything else has to be in place before we can do that. Thank you so much for listening to our story and how much of a difference that we make to our local homeless communities. And we can't do that without your help.